In a world obsessed with gold, oil, and rare earth minerals, a rock from another planet has sparked a political and scientific firestorm in West Africa. The nation of Niger has officially launched an investigation into the sale of a Martian meteorite discovered in its desert. The price tag? A staggering $5.3 million. The location? Agadez, a remote but historic region that has long been a crossroads of trade, migration, and now, apparently, cosmic treasures. But while auction houses in New York toast the sale and collectors bid in secret, a growing number of voices in Africa are demanding answers. How did a piece of Mars end up in an American showroom? Who profited from it? And what does this mean for African sovereignty over its own natural and now extraterrestrial resources?
Niger says it will open an investigation into the sale of a Martian meteorite discovered in the West African country's Agadez region in 2023. The rock is the largest piece of Mars ever found on Earth and sold for more than $5 million at an auction in New York last week. In a statement broadcast on public television, the government said it has instructed the Minister of Mines, Higher Education and Justice to look into the case.
Before we dive into this powerful story, take a second to like this video. It tells YouTube this is important content, and it helps more people around the world discover what's really happening in Africa. Now let's get into the heart of this unfolding drama. The story begins in November 2023 in the vast Sahara Desert near Agadez in northern Niger. A meteorite hunter, a profession that raises its own questions, stumbled upon a large, dark rock partially buried in the sand. But this was no ordinary meteorite. It was classified as an olivine microgabbroic shergotite, a rare type of Martian rock ejected from the surface of Mars millions of years ago, most likely by an asteroid impact. Experts later confirmed it was the largest Martian meteorite ever discovered, weighing nearly 25 kilograms, or about 54 pounds. Its exterior was cloaked in a glossy black crust formed by intense heat during its descent through Earth's atmosphere. On the inside, the specimen was almost pristine, with little weathering, clear evidence that it had been lying in the desert for only a short time. The rock was named Northwest Africa 16788, or NWA 16788 for short. For context, scientists around the world have identified only about 400 confirmed Martian meteorites. This one alone accounts for 6 to 7% of all known Martian material on Earth. That is not just rare, that is extraordinary. One scientist described it as one of the most important Martian finds in modern history. So how did such a discovery, originating in Niger's soil, end up under the gavel at Sotheby's auction house in New York City? That's the question Nigerian authorities are now racing to answer. On July 16, 2025, NWA 16788 was sold to an anonymous buyer during Sotheby's Geek Week Natural History Auction. The final price, including fees, was about $5.3 million. That made it the most expensive Martian meteorite ever sold at public auction. The seller, according to auction documents, was a private collector. The buyer, another private individual or institution, identity undisclosed. At first glance, this might seem like a simple, high-profile sale of a rare scientific artifact. But in Niger, a country ranked among the poorest in the world, where children still die from lack of medicine and where roads vanish into dust, this sale ignited fury. The meteorite was discovered in Niger's territory, and yet Niger did not earn a single dollar from the transaction, at least not publicly. No documentation has been provided to prove that the export of the meteorite was authorized under Nigerian law. No royalties, no scientific oversight, no cultural preservation, just a disappearance into the global collector's market. Now the government has stepped in. Niger's Ministry of Justice has opened a formal investigation into the meteorite's removal and sale. Key points of the probe include whether the meteorite was legally exported, who granted export permissions, if any, and what chain of custody existed between its discovery in Agadez and its appearance in the U.S. The state also wants to determine whether any laws protecting Niger's national heritage were violated and whether any officials were complicit in allowing the rock to leave without proper documentation. There are suspicions that the meteorite was smuggled out under the cover of academic or commercial pretense. Local reports suggest that the area where it was found has seen an influx of foreign rock hunters, many of whom collaborate with local guides and smugglers. These individuals often use satellite technology, drones, and even artificial intelligence to track unusual mineral compositions across desert terrains. Once they locate what they believe is a rare meteorite, they collect it quietly, label it as geological debris, and move it across borders. In the absence of robust mineral control at Niger's borders, it is entirely plausible that the Martian meteorite was smuggled out with false documents. But the story does not end with legality alone. It opens broader questions about ownership, sovereignty, and scientific access. Many African activists and Pan-African scholars are now asking, why do African countries keep losing their most valuable natural and scientific assets to the West? From diamonds in the Congo to uranium in Niger's south and now to a Martian meteorite in Agadez, the pattern seems hauntingly familiar. Discover something rare, lose it to foreign interests, and watch it get sold for millions with no benefit to the people whose land it came from. Midway through this investigation, we want to thank you, our loyal subscribers and viewers, for continuing to support Voice of Africa. If you find value in our work, please take a moment to like this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm recommend our content to others who care about African truth and justice. You can also support us through Super Thanks or by sharing this report with friends. Now let's continue. This event has also sparked a fierce debate in the global scientific community. Some scientists, like paleontologist Steve Broussat, warn that selling rare scientific objects to private collectors risks burying knowledge along with the specimen. Once a meteorite enters a private vault, it may never again be available for academic research. Others, like planetary scientist Julia Cartwright, hold a more nuanced view. She argues that if the collector is willing to loan the meteorite to scientific institutions or museums, then critical research can still be done. But both sides agree on one point. Without transparent handling and ethical oversight, the loss of such a specimen to private hands is deeply problematic. That brings us to the most painful irony of all. This meteorite might reveal critical clues about the history of Mars, possibly even about ancient water or microbial life. But the country it came from may never benefit from that knowledge. Niger does not have a world-class planetary science program. Its universities do not have access to Martian rocks or advanced laboratories. And yet, its land is rich enough to hold the keys to planetary history. For now, those keys are being turned by others. The implications stretch beyond Niger. This is a cautionary tale for all of Africa. As technology improves and the global race for rare materials intensifies, African countries must strengthen their laws around geological finds, especially those with scientific or extraterrestrial significance. It is no longer just about gold, oil, or lithium. It is about meteorites, fossils, ancient DNA, and potentially even the remains of lost civilizations. Everything buried beneath African soil is now on someone's radar, and if legal protections are not in place, more cosmic treasures will vanish before their importance is even understood. The government of Niger now faces pressure not only to retrieve the meteorite or its monetary value, but to set a legal precedent. International cooperation may be needed. Diplomatic channels could be activated. Niger could, in theory, file an appeal with international organizations focused on cultural and scientific preservation. But that will require willpower, legal expertise, and most importantly, unity from the African continent. So what comes next? Voice of Africa will continue to follow this story closely. If Niger's investigation leads to a formal claim against the auction house or the buyer, it could trigger a historic legal battle over ownership of extraterrestrial material. It could even inspire other African nations to review how their own geological treasures are being handled or mishandled. Meanwhile, African scientists, lawyers, and leaders must unite to demand fair treatment and full respect for their natural and cultural heritage. If a piece of Mars found in Africa can be sold for millions overseas, then the people of Africa deserve more than crumbs. They deserve ownership, recognition, and participation in the scientific conversations that shape our understanding of the universe. Until then, the Martian meteorite known as NWA 16788 remains a symbol, a glittering alien mirror reflecting everything wrong with how Africa's riches continue to be extracted, auctioned, and forgotten. But it can also be a turning point, a rallying cry, a wake-up call to reassert the value of African soil, African law, and African pride. This was Voice of Africa. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and share this video. Let's make sure no more treasures leave the continent in silence.